Hello guys, I just want to start out by saying I am so sick right now. I just have a really bad cold. Thankfully, I'm not feeling too bad at the moment, but there's no way I was putting on makeup or doing my hair or putting on a nice outfit to make this. So you guys can just deal with my grossness for today's video. I am wearing gray on gray. I don't care. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this little tiny disaster I am dealing with right now. I was in my reptile room and I was doing my stuff. I was feeding and cleaning and watering, you know, whatever I normally do. And I noticed my tree boa sitting in her water bowl. And this isn't really typical. She doesn't normally do that. So right away I was thinking something might be up. And if you know anything about snakes, you know that soaking in their water bowl can be a sign of mites. So I take a closer look at her and she has mites. Now I am dealing with snake mites, and if you are into reptiles, you probably know that it is one of the most annoying things in the world because snake mites are basically like the equivalent of fleas. They are super contagious. All the other reptiles can get them. So it's just a big pain in the butt to deal with. Thankfully, I have checked all my reptiles over and I have not seen any mites on anyone else so far, only my tree boa. So I'm hoping I caught it before it spreads, but I will continue to keep an eye on everyone and see what is going on. In this moment, I am only going to be treating my tree boa. Some people recommend treating your whole collection anyways, but I don't see the point of stressing out my animals and putting them through treatment when they are not showing any signs of mites. Of course, obviously, I will continue to check them out and I will continue to monitor them, and if I see any signs of mites appearing, obviously I will treat them, but I just don't see the point of treating them when they may not even have mites. Like I don't get that. So for now I'm only going to be treating my tree boa, and then I will treat others if I need to. And I am not at all excited for this. Like, this has to be my worst possible snake to get mites, like, because in order to treat her I have to touch her and handle her, and I'm probably gonna get bit like 500 times because she does not like handling at all, and tree boas are really nippy. Like, if it were any of my other snakes who got mites, I would be totally fine. But of course it was my tree boa, so I might lose a hand, but it's, what are you gonna do? Well, basically, I thought I would show you how I'm going to be treating them. I'm going to take you through the whole process and just show you everything I'm going to be doing. And then maybe if you are dealing with mites, or if you ever do in the future, this will help you know what to do. So let's go ahead and get my hand bitten off. I also just want to put a little disclaimer out there. Mites are not a result of poor keeping. You can be the best animal keeper in the whole world and still get mites. They are like fleas for dogs. If a dog gets a flea or gets fleas, it doesn't mean you're not taking care of your dog. It just, these things happen. Mites can come from anything. Like, if you buy a new reptile and it has mites, it can spread to your other reptiles. Sometimes it can even be in the substrate. If you get like a used cage, the cage could have mites. So there are lots of ways that your animal could get mites, but it's not a result of poor keeping or anything like that. It has nothing to do with poor husbandry. So just keep that in mind. If you ever have a snake or reptile who gets mites, don't think you're a bad keeper, because it happens. So the first thing I'm going to be doing in order to treat my snake is setting up a quarantine enclosure. I am just doing this using I think this is a 110 quart. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is a 110 quart bin. So I'm basically just going to be setting this up as a sterile environment to quarantine my snake in while it is being treated for mites. So I'm going to start just by rinsing this out, cleaning it, and yeah, so let's go and do that. Okay, now that the tub is all cleaned out, I am going to drill some ventilation holes along the side. I will probably just put one single row of them right here. Amazon tree bows like high humidity, so I don't want to drill too many holes in this because then that will just let all of the humidity escape. Okay, so here is what the tub looks like now. As you can see, I just have a whole row of holes drilled along the front here for ventilation. Before I move on and go any further with setting up my quarantine enclosure, I'm actually going ahead and make my mite treatment here. So now when it comes to treating snake mites, there are actually quite a few different options. There are store-bought options like store-bought mite sprays, whatever. There's lots of different options out there. But the one I'm going to be going with today is using NYX. Now you may or may not actually be familiar with this. This is a lice treatment. It's used to treat like hair lice, but it is also really good at treating snake mites. And one of the reasons I chose to go with this one is because not only does it kill the mites, but it also kills any eggs. And from what research I did, a lot of the store-bought treatments like mite sprays, they don't actually kill the eggs, they only kill the mites. Whereas if you use NYX, it also kills the eggs. So I got this just at my local drugstore. You do not want to apply this directly to your snake. Make sure if you are treating for snake mites, make sure whichever option you go with, you do lots of research about it and you follow all the directions, because snake mite treatments can actually be fatal if they are not done properly. So it is really important that you follow all the proper steps to make sure that you are treating your snakes right, or else that you may end up in a bad situation. So like I said, if you're using NYX, you don't want to apply it directly to your snake. You actually need to mix it with water. So for 1 bottle of NYX, you need 4 liters of water, which I have in this bucket here. So I'm going to go ahead and add the entire bottle into this bucket of water. So now that you have it in the water, I know you can't see it, but like it's in here. You gotta mix it up because it's right now just like a bunch of blobs in the water and you want it to be mixed together. So yeah, if you are using this method, basically just mix it until it is all one watery consistency. Like right now I still have a lot of like chunks. I still have a lot of chunks in the water, so I'm gonna mix it until it is all like dissolved, I guess. Dissolved in the water. Okay, like 5,000 hours later, this is finally mixed up. So now I'm going to start getting ready to treat my snake. I know you can't really see it, but I have my bin back here. The first thing I'm going to do is take some paper towel. Okay, so as you can see now, I have paper towel completely on the bottom of the bin. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my NYX water mixed and I'm going to use that to dampen the paper towel. Now you don't want it soaking wet, you just kind of want it damp. Lots of people recommend using a spray bottle to do this, and that's probably way easier than what I'm going to do, but I don't have a spare spray bottle and I am broke, so I am taking my spoon and I'm just going to kind of drip it around. How great. But yeah, a spray bottle is probably definitely preferred over this method. Spray bottle would definitely kind of get it more even, but you know what? I'm sick and I'm broke and you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm going to put a little more paper towel down over here so that I have a thicker layer rather than just that one. Okay, so I added a little more paper towel. I feel like this will help, it'll help it to be more damp rather than like soaking wet, just having a couple other layers. So I'm going to go and continue to wet this. Okay, and now as you can see, the paper towel is pretty damp. And like I said, you only want it to be damp. You do not want it to be very wet. It should just kind of be damp to the touch. The reason you want it to be damp and not wet is because you do not want your snake or whatever reptile you're treating, you don't want them to be able to drink it. Because if they ingest it, that is not good. So you only want it to be damp to the touch. You do not want there to be any like water puddles or anything like that that they could possibly drink and ingest. And even just to dry it up a little bit more, I'm going to take this piece of paper towel and just kind of dab it around just to soak up a little bit extra water, just to be careful. So here's my Amazon tree boa here. She's perched up here. She is about to be real cranky at me, so that's no good, but I am going to be taking her out of her enclosure now. And I will be using my snake hook here to grab her because I want to touch her the least I possibly can. So we are going to go and place her right in the treatment tub here. And just so she doesn't escape, I am going to kind of set the lid on top. So there she is in the tub right now. So she is soaking on the nicks, but that is not all. I do have to cover her whole body in it. So that is what we will be doing now, and hopefully I don't get eaten. This here is another reason people recommend using a spray bottle, and then you can just kind of spray them down. But again, I'm stupid and I don't have a spray bottle, so we're just gonna have to try to not lose a hand. Okay, so I'm actually going to put the camera down right now because it is just too hard to do this, but basically what I'm going to be doing is covering her whole body in the water/Nix treatment. So she now has the treatment fully covering her body, and again, it is on all the paper towels down here. So now I'm going to leave her in this tub for 10 to 15 minutes to let the treatment take effect. And after that is done, I will be taking her out and bathing her in pure water just to wash everything off because you don't want to leave the treatment on for too long. So as soon as she's done in here, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to be taking her and washing her to rinse everything off. She's so angry with me. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make you better. I'm sorry. Okay, so it has been about 12 minutes, so I am going to take her out of here and then go and rinse her off in the bath now. The bath is stressful to them. As you can see, she is moving around quite a lot, which definitely indicates that there is some stress going on, so you really don't want to bathe your snakes unless you really need to. I would not be doing this to her unless I absolutely had to, and in the case of her mites and everything, I believe that it is definitely necessary. So after his bath, I went ahead and cleaned out his tub here. I'm now going to be setting it up with some paper towel as substrate, and then I'm going to be adding a couple wooden rods in there. Since he is an Amazon tree boa, obviously he likes to perch and climb, so I'm going to throw a couple of those in there to give him some spots while he is in quarantine. Okay, so I added the paper towels and his water bowl, and now I am going to go ahead and add all of these wooden rods. there, so that's about it. When you are quarantining an animal, you want their setup to be pretty basic, because the more stuff you have there, the more room there is for things like bacteria to grow. So you really want to keep it as basic as you can. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my Amazon tree boa in here. Okay, so there he is. So, or she, I don't even know. Okay, so she's in here now, and so now I guess I'll just go over like my treatment plan. Obviously, I did just do my main treatment now, and she's now going to be staying in quarantine for a little while. So basically what I'm going to do is leave her in here for 1 week. I'm not going to do anything, no more treatments or anything. And then after 1 week, we will go ahead and do a second treatment. So I will use the same stuff, do the same thing basically all over again. And then that should hopefully be good. If I feel the need to, I will do a third treatment. But usually 2 is good, so I'll keep an eye on that. So she is basically going to be staying in here for a little bit now while she is in quarantine. And yeah. And when you're dealing with mites, not only do you need to treat the snake, you also need to treat the enclosure. So basically my plan to treat this enclosure is I will be throwing out all of the substrate. I am just going to empty it out, throw it in the garbage, and I'll buy a new one. So basically I'm going to be emptying this tank out completely. Substrate is being thrown in the garbage, and for all of my decorations, such as like my fake plants and my branches, they are going to basically be boiled. I will probably just fill the bathtub up with boiling water and then wash the branches and everything in there to really clean them off, because there can be mites in the wood and they could have eggs in there. So you really need to treat your whole enclosure and not just the snake itself. So I'm not going to do that tonight just because it's late and I don't want to. But tomorrow I will be cleaning out the whole enclosure and doing a treatment on the enclosure so that it is safe for my snake to go back in it once she is done her quarantine. And obviously I do not want to put her back in my reptile room, because that just increases the chances of her spreading mites to the rest of my reptiles. So she will be staying out here by herself where she is not near any other reptiles, so that she is fully quarantined. Alright, so really that is all I have for my video today. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit about snake mites, or just found this enjoyable, or whatever. But for whatever reason you're watching this, hopefully you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Check out my other videos, give this one a big thumbs up, and check out all of my social media. The link to everything will be in the description below, but everything is just MSAM99. So thank you guys again, and I will see you all in my next video.